What is up guys, Taiki here, and in this video I wanted to go over my 2022 predictions. It's the new year, right? I thought it'd be fun to do this. I'll mostly be focusing on Q1 just because it's easier to predict things out in the near term than it is in the long term. And also because how a bear market might form. And keep in mind, none of this financial advice. I'll most likely get 99% of things wrong, but you know, it's fun, right? It's fun, and who knows, maybe in 12 months we look back on this and I'm like, damn, like, I was such an idiot. Or maybe I'm like, oh wow, like I got some things right? I'm not going to make any obvious predictions, right? I've seen these predictions on other videos and other, I guess, Twitter threads, but like, you know, stablecoin issuance to go up, of course, duh, like, of course, right? It's going to happen, right? No one gains value from hearing that. More institutional capital, DeFi users go up, right? I mean, of course, right? I'll try to make more bold claims, like how a bear market might form, how ETH will like lose more market share, things like that. You know, just because it's more fun that way. Anyways, this is the agenda. I'll talk about ETH TVL Dominance, Q1 rotations, discussing the near ecosystem, how a bear market might form, other one-off predictions, and a summary. So, first of all, before I get into it, you know, my first prediction is that 2022, my channel will grow to 100,000 subscribers, hopefully, right? I'm almost there, and I'll continue to add 0 YouTube ads, 0 paid shills, 0 ref links, anything, right? You know, my estimated revenue is 0 because I don't run ads, right? And it's going to continue that way. I'm not going to take any sponsorships, no ad money, right? No like paid shills, right? I'm going to keep that 0, right? Keep that 0. Okay, let's get into the real predictions for 2022 with crypto stuff, right? So ETH TVL Dominance. I think ETH TVL Dominance is going to look a lot like the Bitcoin dominance chart. Scaling for ETH is going to take a long time. It's going to happen, right? It's going to be great when it happens, but it's going to take a lot longer than people expect, right? If you talk to the devs, or I talk to the devs, and you know, like they have issues deploying on like, things like Arbitrum and Optimism because like the RPCs are not, like just like not good, right? And I think it's going to take a long time for ETH layer 2 to scale, right? And like I said, like when it does scale, it's going to be great, right? And I'm sure like a bunch of TVL is going to go there, but you know, don't listen to the ETH maxis. It's going to say, oh yeah, scaling is going to come soon. Scaling is right on the corner. Oh my God, so much innovation, so much technology. I mean, they're right in the sense that, you know, like the smartest people in the world are working on it, but they're wrong in the sense that it's going to happen in the near term. Okay. Because if you look back into 2021, I remember as a DeFi noob, right? I was so heavy ETH, right? I was like early 2021, right? I was so heavy ETH because Optimism was saying, oh yeah, March, you know, March, we're going to launch Optimism. It's going to be great, right? And I was like, okay, thank God. Like I didn't bridge the Binance Smart Chain. I feel so bad. I can finally use the ETH layer 2, right? And then like, I think like a week before the announcement, right? Or a week before they were supposed to launch, they were like, sorry guys, we're going to push it back to July. And I was like, what? Okay. And that was like when it hit me like, okay, ETH layer 2, it's best to just assume that it's not going to happen in the near term and be positive, like be like pleasantly surprised when it does happen, right? So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And in the meantime, as ETH scales slowly, right, other L1s are just going to continue to take market share, and that this has been my channel's thesis for all of 2021, and it's going to continue to be my thesis until it changes for 2022, right? Don't fight the trend because there's a reason it's a trend, right? At some point the trend might stop or it might like lose steam, but you know, the trend is a trend. Don't fight the trend. So you go to DeFi Llama, this is going to be the TVL for all chains, right? Ethereum at roughly 60%. And if you look at to the right side, this is the ETH dominance, right? Where the green part is ETH TVL. And you can see it's just like slowly going down, right? 2021, Binance Smart Chain launched, took a bunch of TVL, and then other chains launched, and you know, ETH TVL dominance, you know, at 60%, I'm sure it's going to get below 50% at some point, right? Maybe that's like not as crazy as people, maybe that's not as crazy just because it's already at 60%, but I would assume it's going to keep going down. And I make a comparison to the Bitcoin dominance chart, right? Because this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is Bitcoin's market cap relative to the entire crypto market cap. It's roughly at 40%, right? And you can see that, you know, initially, like when there was like not that many other cryptos, Bitcoin dominance was like over 90%, right? But as more cryptos began to like launch, right? This is 2017, it went down, right? And in the bear market, it went back up. And in late 2020, it went up again, right? When it went to like $30,000, $40,000, right? In that crazy run up. But ever since then, it's just going down, right? And I would kind of expect this shape to occur for ETH TVL dominance, right? Maybe it gets to 40% or something. So putting it side by side, we see this, right? It kind of looks similar, right? I mean, like, it was like 90% up here, and then it just had a crazy dump, small bounce, and it just keeps trending down, right? And I would assume that it's going to get below 50%. right? And so I think it's good to bet on L1s that you think will keep taking on market share, L1s that have a product, L1s with incentive programs, because those are the L1s that you want to bet on to succeed in 2022 for Q1, Q2, Q3, as long as ETH continues to ship slowly. And I'm not blaming them for shipping slowly, right? Because they have so much TVL, like they have to be super careful with like just L2 and stuff. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. You can't. This is reality. This is reality, right? I still think ETH, the asset, will perform really, really well. However, the TVL dominance of ETH and its layer 2s is going to go down over time, right? ETH maxis will say, no, like people like love decentralization. They're going to come to Ethereum once L2 scales. But I don't really think that liquidity is as loyal as the maxis think, okay? Because it's all about the customer acquisition game. These incentive programs are a way for people or for these ecosystems to gather customers, right? They're saying, hey, we'll pay you to use our ecosystem. And maybe if you're like decentralization maxi from like 2016, 2017, yeah, maybe you're gonna have most of your money on Ethereum, right? Or if you have a lot of money, you're gonna just live on Ethereum because you're gonna pay a premium for that security. However, if you think about the customer acquisition and like the next billion users, or like let's say 10 million users is gonna enter DeFi, I would assume that over 70% is gonna go into other L1s, okay? And I don't think that's like a crazy thought, right? Therefore, I believe L1s will continue to outperform other L1s, right? ETH for the duration of the bull market. In a bear market, ETH will massively outperform, but in a bull market, these scalable chains is going to be where most of the money will flow into, because it's what, retail users like you and I can actually use without feeling really, really bad. So that being said, I think that's a good foundation to go into my Q1 rotations and predictions, and I'll mostly be focusing on one ecosystem because it's fun to like say like, oh yeah, like 5 ecosystems are gonna pump this quarter, it's gonna be crazy. But I don't really do that stuff. I kind of just make concentrated bets and just focus my efforts on one ecosystem, one project, and whatnot, because I think it's a lot easier to manage one position or 2 positions than like 10 different positions, right? Concentrated bets over diversification. And the reason I think this way, and I'll talk about it near, but I think if you understand like the general sentiment around crypto and the market participants in crypto, like you and I, let's call ourselves apes, right? If we're bridging money into MetaMask, into DeFi, we kind of have to be an ape, to begin with, right? Apes have the attention span of a goldfish, right? I mean, we have tiny brains. Well, maybe not you, but I have a tiny brain. Most successful farmers and traders will be those that are able to identify the rotations early and sell into the pump, okay? And this kind of sounds bad, but I'll get into like why I think this is. Okay, so this is like actual data. So this is Avalanche. So I'll kind of go over like 2021 month by month to see like the rotations that happened, throughout the year, and what I think is going to happen, for 2022, right? So in August, it was Avalanche season, right? We went to like from $10 to like, what is like $50, or no, actually it was like $60, right? Like it was crazy, right? Like look at these candles. These are daily candles, right? Like it's like so many green candles, right? So August was Avalanche's month, and then September and October was Phantom's month, right? Phantom went from like what, 30 cents to $3. Like it's crazy, right? In 2 months, right? There's a lot of volatility along the way, but the trend was up, right? And then it corrected. And after it corrected, November was back to Avalanche, right? So essentially what capital flew from AVAX, right? People made a bunch of money, and then they're like, okay, let's rotate to Phantom, right? Made a lot of money, and then people rotated back to Avalanche, right? So it feels like there's like not that many new money coming to the space. It's like money already in crypto. It's like a player versus player aspect, where like traders or like the smart traders are just outperforming because they're like early into rotations and whatnot. And then I guess December was Luna, right? But you can argue that, I mean, since July, Luna was up only, right? It went from $5 to $100 since July. It was pretty crazy, right? So, these L1s just outperform, and you can kind of see how there's always like the flavor of the month, right? And this is because, first of all, I don't think there's like new money coming to the space. That's kind of bearish, to be honest, but I think that's one of the reasons. But also, it's crypto is driven on narratives, and whatever is being shilled that month is going to go up, I think. So, and if you think back about, like why AVAX and why Phantom pumped a lot, right? And Phantom is pumping like this year too. And, I've been bullish Phantom like, all this time and whatnot. But, the point I'm trying to make here is that people don't really care about like Avalanche Rush and the Phantom incentive program anymore, right? I mean, they still exist, right? And that's one of the reasons why these ecosystems are doing really, really well. But I argue that these incentive programs have already been priced in, at least the hype for it. And I feel like, when it comes to next rotations, it's going to be where that hype has not been made obvious, right? And I'm sure, I mean, I made this tweet last night. I'm like, hey, like guys, like the next rotation is near. Does anyone know which one it is, right? And I think I had like 200 comments, and it was everyone shilling their own bad. It's like, oh, it's Phantom, it's One, it's Atom, it's Solana, it's Luna, it's AVAX. But little did people know it's right there. The next rotation is literally near, at least in my opinion, not financial advice. Hopefully I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll give my reasons why. Okay, so this is near. This is the price of near. I started making this slide a week ago, so I think the price is up like to $17 or something. But I think near has been on a clear uptrend. It's a bullish market, and yeah, I expect this to continue. So, I think if you look back into one of my October videos, right, on October 25th, the Near protocol offered, they announced this $800 million incentive program for DeFi, mindshare, right? And $250 million in the red box. In ecosystem grants, that's going to be distributed over 4 years, right? So 4 years, long time. But, I think they announced this one like Near was like $7 or something. So, you can do the math. I think it's like a $500 million ecosystem grant at this point. Or maybe they're going to like, maybe they're going to just do 250 million from the current price. I have no idea, right? I mean, these foundations do all sorts of weird things. But the money is coming, right? It's more about, we know the money is coming, but when is it going to come, right? Because Hedera, Hashgraph also announced like $1 billion incentive program, right? But we know that's not coming anytime soon. Algorand announced like an $800 million program or something, but that's not going to come anytime soon. But why do I think Near is next, right? Why do I think Near is going to be the most, what is this, like the quickest rotation, I guess, right? It's going to happen in the short term. Well, if you look into this video, right? So I watched a bunch of like the videos on like Near's YouTube channel, right? I mean, this video has like 100 views, right? So no one watches these things. But if you watch these things, right? If you actually spend time watching these things, reading articles, there's a lot of alpha to be had. So November 17th, this guy Kendall Cole was like, okay, like these products are going to launch soon on Aurora, right? So I'll talk about Aurora later, but think of Near as the layer 1 and Aurora as layer 2, right? But these are coming to Aurora, Dodo, Sushi, Kyber, Curve, and hopefully more, right? It's coming soon. Dodo already launched actually, so I took the screenshot like last week, but you can already see that there's already incentives for Dodo, right? This is a decentralized exchange. Dodo's a farm token, so I wouldn't get too excited about these APRs, but you can see that Near incentives are already live, right? So you can kind of infer that, okay, the ecosystem is being built, right? It's EVM, so it's easy to build apps. The gas is super free, or the gas is super cheap, right? It's going to be cheap. Right now it's free. I'll talk about that later. It's actually free, but Near incentives are coming online, so it gives me hope, and I guess I'll look into, I guess, Q1 that, okay, these incentives are coming out. It's EVM, so, it's going to be relatively quick for other applications to deploy on Near. And this is a quote from Alex Shevchenko, who is the CEO of Aurora, right? And Aurora and Near, they're not the same project, but, they like work closely together, right? Near is the layer 1, and Aurora is the layer 2 built on top of Near. Near is not EVM compatible. Aurora is EVM compatible. Okay, and no blockchain project at this point in time is able to survive without any liquidity mining or incentive program. As such, Aurora Labs is planning to propose to the Aurora DAO to launch a liquidity mining program. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is the same thing as the Near incentive program, but Aurora, they also have their own token. They're also going to do some incentive program at some point, right? And like I mentioned, Near is L1, Aurora is Near's layer 2, right? And the fact that it's EVM is super important, right? Because if you think about rotations, or if you're like a rotator, or you're like a trader or a farmer or whatever, timing does matter, right? And if you're holding like Bitcoin or ETH or like AVAX or something for the long term, like sure, like who cares about timing the markets, right? You just hold them long term, just let it go up, and be happy when you're like age 50 or something, or like 40 or 30 or whatever. But EVM is important just because in terms of user adoption and customer acquisition, it's a lot easier to get people to, use MetaMask and bridge to like an EVM chain than it is to, force someone to make a wallet from scratch. I tried making a wallet on Near. You have to have Near to like make the wallet, which doesn't really make sense to me. So there's like a huge barrier to entry there. Like Algorand, you have to make your own wallet. Some there's like barrier to entry, you have to KYC the bridge and stuff. I mean, like, you know, there's barriers to entry for non-EVM chains. So, you know, it's easier to bet on EVM chains in the short term, just because you can kind of see, like, you know, when and where the adoption will occur. So gas fees are currently 0. It's actually 0. Like I encourage everyone to, like, you know, start bridging there. Like maybe like 1% of portfolio, start using it, just because I think the user experience is pretty amazing actually. And you know, gas fees being 0, it might not sound like that great about that crazy of a value proposition to you, right? Because you go to Harmony, you go to Polygon, Avalanche, Phantom. I mean, the gas fees are like pretty low, right? However, the fact that it's 0 makes it so that, you know, you don't only have to think about gas, right? You can just keep clicking buttons. It makes the DeFi experience that much better. It's going to be turned on at some point. I expect later this month or in February, right? I have some details on why I think this is, but even if they turn it on, I hear it's going to be pennies, right? It's going to be pennies. So, you know, TVL growth is strong and bridging is important. Bridges, the Rainbow Bridge is good, right? Their native bridge. They also have bridge from, I believe, Multi-Chain, which is formerly AnySwap, and Synapse. And the Terra Bridge, I believe, or maybe not the Terra Bridge, but you know, you can use Synapse, I think, for a bunch of chains. And like I mentioned, you know, this bridge, right? I believe most of the alpha in crypto comes from bridging. I think a lot of people just get complacent and they just stay in one ecosystem and they just, like, you know, find the community and they just, like, you know, like get in like a circle and just like chant each other, like, oh yeah, like our bags will go up only. But you know, in crypto, you have to YOLO money, right? Like, because how you make money is by being early, and how you're early is by spreading to ecosystems. I mean, I get a lot of questions about like how I found DeFi Kingdoms. It's literally as simple as I bridged to Harmony in September when no one else cared about Harmony, right? And like literally, like DeFi Kingdoms was like the only project that looked interesting, so I just, like, you know, invested in it, right? So it's pretty simple actually. You just have to keep up with the bridging. You have to keep up with the new ecosystems and just try out these ecosystems yourself. There's like what, like there's so many ecosystems, like, so like, you know, I don't encourage everyone to like bridge everywhere. However, you can kind of, you know, use common sense to determine where you should bridge and why you should bridge, right? By just like reading articles. So, you know, this is a Rainbow Bridge. RainbowBridge.app. It's pretty good, right? It's like, I think it's like $10 to bridge from ETH, ETH mainnet. Not too bad. A bunch of assets are supported, ETH, stablecoins, etc. This is a TVL growth on Aurora, right? So it's been up only. I would expect this to be in the top 10 at some point. In terms of DeFi Llama, right? I think they're like number 20 or something. But you know, over $1 billion, then, you know, like Flip Tron and stuff, right? I mean, like, come on, Tron. Okay, and also, I encourage everyone to subscribe to Aurora, their YouTube channel, because their CEO, Alex Shevchenko, he gives weekly updates on like what his team is doing, right? And you know, I really like this guy. I mean, he definitely knows what he's doing. And the thing I like about Alex is that he's focused on building out an ecosystem, right? Other foundations, other teams, they're focused on like building bridges and like, you know, like, I don't know, like doing random stuff. But Aurora, like, their goal is simple, right? We build a DeFi ecosystem. That's what I like. That's what a farmer like me likes, okay? And in this AMA, he gave a few interesting points. So around the 9-minute mark, he said, we're going to do a secret launch of a big project in January. Even if it gets delayed, first half of Q1 for sure. This thing is revolutionary and will change apps from the ground up with this new architecture. Until then, transactions will be free. So, you know, gas will be free until maybe late January, maybe like early February, right? But even then, like, you know, it's gonna be cheap. And also, you're gonna be paying gas in ETH, right? You don't use Aurora or Near token as gas. You use ETH as a gas, because how it works is that, you know, when you let's say you pay a penny in ETH, right, for gas. What it does on the back end is it converts that ETH into Near and uses that Near for transaction fees. So from a user experience perspective, it really feels like I'm using ETH layer 2, right? Because I'm using ETH as gas. And because of like the system, right, where it converts to Near in the back end, in the future, they're going to be, you'll be able to use like, you know, USDC, DAI, like any ERC20 as gas, which I think is pretty crazy from a user experience perspective. And, you know, in the 16 minutes and 30-second mark, he said, any ecosystem without an Etherscan partnership is not a tier 1 project, partnership coming soon, right? So, you know, this guy is focused on, you know, things like Infura, building out Infura for developers, Etherscan for the user experience. I mean, he's like, you know, he's going hard. He's going hard for sure. And also one of the bullish points for Near is that I'm not going to get into like the technical aspects of Near, right? But, you know, it's from the devs I've talked to and like the articles I've read, the developer experience on Near is much better than other chains, right? So take that for what it's worth. So I'll link this in the description below, but John Wing has a pretty interesting Twitter thread on like his near thesis, which kind of goes more about like the tech, right? For those that care about the tech. I care more about like capital flow, so I'm not really gonna focus on this, but I'll put this in the description. And there's like not that many apps on Aurora, right? And keep in mind, I keep saying Aurora, right? Because my focus is on Aurora, not Near, right? Not the asset, right? I'm sure the Near token will do really well, but I'm more focused about like the chain Aurora, okay? So, just take that for what it's worth. And 60% of the TVL is on Trisolaris, which is like the #1 decentralized exchange, automated market maker. They have partnerships with Luna and UST. So, most of the TVL is going to Trisolaris. So if you're going to farm, I think this is the safest place to farm, right? They also have seeded liquidity from Dragonfly Capital, right? So if a VC fund is, providing liquidity on a particular application, it lowers the chance of a risk, or sorry, it lowers the risk of a rug or an exploit. It could happen, right? I mean, I have to keep saying this, crypto is risky, but it is what it is. There are other DeFi applications. They're more on the risky side, right? So I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but just go to DeFi Llama, you'll find a list, right? I mean, you can kind of rewind back to here, right? There are all these protocols. Trisolaris, 60% of the TVL. There are other AMMs, Launchpad, StableSwap, etc. Okay, so talk about the market cap, right? So Near has been. Well, the thing is, like, Near is already like a pretty expensive project, right? As in, it's like a top 25 project. But I think it can go higher. I think it can go higher with all the catalysts coming up and from the things I've read, right? And there's a bunch of articles online if you want to look into more, right? So first of all, Near should flip Algorand, right? I mean, I don't think that's a crazy argument, right? It's already like 500 million additional market cap, right? Let's get it there. I think it'll flip Cosmos, right? I like Cosmos, but I think Near has more going for them in the short term. It is what it is. I think Near will flip Crypto.com coin, right? Crow. I kind of talk down on Crow. Not really, but no one expects the Kronos chain to be like the future of finance, right? But the only thing that they have going for them is like a bunch of marketing money for like buying the Staples Center and like spending money on like sponsorships. So I wouldn't fade Crow, right? Because you don't want to fade marketing. But let's flip Crow. And I think if I really want to make them ETH maxis angry, I say let's flip Polygon, right? I mean, ETH maxis, they're saying Polygon is the best thing ever. It's centralized L2 or sidechain, whatever. But it says flip it. And also, I don't want to bet against the memes, right? I mean, like, I don't ever want to get bet against Doge or Shiba, but like let's flip like Doge and Shiba, right? And maybe the flipping doesn't happen because Near gets like $24 billion market cap. Maybe it just happens because Doge just like drops another 50% or something, and like Shiba also, right? But I think Near can get to the top 15, right? Top 15. It's not crazy the upside, right? But I think, but the thing is like I'm saying like a Near could do a 2x, right? In like Q1. If you say that to like anyone from the traditional markets, it's like, damn, like that's crazy. Like that's a scam. But in crypto, it's like a 2x in Q1. That's lame. Come on, give me more dopamine, right? And that's kind of how people think of crypto. But so maybe it's not as exciting, and maybe going into like altcoins and stuff is like more fun. But from a user adoption perspective, I think Near, Aurora, TVL go up. I think Aurora is going to have top 10 TVL in Q1, right? According to DeFi Llama. Okay, enough bull posting about Near. Let's be more bearish. Let's be more bearish, right? Because for every time I'm bullish, right, price goes down, whatever. And I'm actually quite bearish DeFi. And I know it's coming. I know it's kind of weird coming from like a full-time farmer DeFi guy, right, on YouTube, right? But honest thoughts, right? I mean, I'm not here to I guess I kind of pumped Near, but I'm not here to like just like pump everything, right? The goal is to be as honest as I can. So I'm pretty bearish midterm on DeFi, decentralized finance, and one of the reasons is if you look back on these previous rotations, like these coins go up because of incentive programs, right? Most of DeFi is incentivized where foundations have to pay users to use the chain. When incentives run out, what happens? And the question is, right, incentive programs have been bullish, right, historically. But why is that? It's because these ecosystems need incentives to get people to use it, right? So I feel like as these incentives run out, there's going to be less incentive for me and other farmers and other users to use these chains, right? Because I love Aave. I love Aave, right? I love the idea. I love like the future of Aave. But if it weren't for incentives, like, you know, I'll probably use Aave to a lesser extent than I do today. Same goes for other applications. And, you know, if you think about it, like, most yields are high because there's a bunch of people bridging into the ecosystem to get like those rewards, right? But if you think about it, like, if let's say like the amount of people that bridge to DeFi goes down by 20%, right? Then yields will automatically become lower because there's less activity in the chain. And sure, you might argue that, oh yeah, well, yields will be less diluted, so it's going to be higher. Well, maybe, right, for some applications. But I think for the majority of DeFi, there needs to be like a bunch of like inflow from users in order for these like projects to actually succeed. So maybe the yields are high to begin with, but because there's like not that much user adoption, when these incentives run out, you know, maybe, you know, these ecosystems like don't do well, maybe these applications don't do well, and maybe that's how a bear market starts. Yes, these programs are, you know, expected to last a few years, right? The near one is going to last 4 years. I think Avalanche Rush is going to last like 12 months or something, or maybe longer. But I think all the excitement has been front loaded, right? It's like what I mentioned earlier, apes have the attention span of a goldfish, right? No one cares about Avalanche Rush anymore. I mean, it's still there, right? It's great, but like, no, like that's not really a bull case for Avalanche anymore. Phantom, same thing, right? It's doing well, but it's like more about like Andre and like Daniele and like, you know, Tomb and like stuff like that, right? It's not really about the incentives anymore. You know, I think there needs to be more innovation instead of forking existing projects and throwing coins around, right? And just hoping, you know, to buy low, sell high, etc., or buy high, sell higher or something. Because I think one of the ways to onboard more users is just better products, right? Because right now MetaMask, it's like pretty hard to use, right? I mean, I know how to use it obviously, but like, you know, it's pretty hard to use. It's going to be really difficult to onboard new users. So I think there needs to be better infrastructure. There needs to be better products. Like all loans are over collateralized, which is fine, right? But, you know, maybe there's like a more capital efficient way to do so. Maybe there can be like better fiat on ramps, right? Maybe centralized exchanges are good enough, but, you know, what if there's like a mobile wallet and stuff, right? I mean, I think these things need to happen in order for DeFi to become much bigger. And for me, like as a farmer, it feels like whenever I use DeFi and I do this rotation thing, it kind of feels like musical chairs, right? It's like, okay, like I'm early, then, you know, people bridge in, I sell, you know, people bridge out, people bridge into the new one, you know, like we buy, we sell, you know, it's just like, we're just like flipping things, right? We're like flipping burgers. We're flipping burgers, and like, we're not really, you know, staying into an ecosystem because we're bullish. And actually, yes, of course, there are like community members and like maxis for every chain and whatnot, but you know, I don't really see like parabolic growth in like DeFi adoption happening anytime soon, just because, you know, the products aren't as good right now. So that's why I continue to say like short term bullish DeFi, long term bullish DeFi, but midterm, I don't know how to quantify what midterm is, but, you know, when these incentive programs run out or start to run out, I feel like DeFi might be in for a bear market. And I feel like that's a more logical way to think about how a bear market might start, right? Because we often think about like, oh yeah, like bear market starts when Bitcoin dumps, but, you know, I feel like we're gonna see more capital rotations, or like, you know, sector pumps and dumps, I guess, sector bull markets and bear markets, right? Gaming, DeFi, Bitcoin, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's really hard to put a timing on this, but, you know, if we fast forward 24 months and we look back into like what caused the bear market, I think it will be because incentive programs run out, people lose excitement, and people realize that without incentives, like, what's the point of using DeFi, right? I mean, of course, there's a point to using DeFi, but, you know, the majority of the reason people use DeFi isn't because it's like a decentralized way to, you know, do your finances. It's because there's a lot of like opportunities to make money, right? But, you know, Q1 near Aurora, like maybe that's the thing. Maybe Q2 Arbitrum optimism in ETH, right? Maybe like ETH 2.0, the merge brings all the hype. Maybe Arbitrum or optimism introduces a token. Who knows, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe they do their own incentive program. That's going to be crazy if they do one. They mentioned that they're not going to do it, but who knows? Maybe they feel the pressure from the ETH maxis, like, hey, pump our bags. Our bags are going down. Pump our bags, right? Maybe Q3 is Algorand, hit our Hashgraph, right? Those two foundations announced incentive programs. Their DeFi ecosystem is not built out right now, but I'm sure like at some point it's going to be good. In Q4, who knows? Maybe Bitcoin takes over something, right? Or maybe gaming is so big that, you know, gaming has its owner. But, you know, I don't really see what happens after like near Aurora, maybe ETH, right? Like maybe Algorand. Like I don't really see what happens afterwards. Like, do we just keep rotating bags like from one chain to the other chain, like a PVV system, right? Player versus player. Because I argue that in order for crypto to become like a up only crazy super cycle market, there needs to be more capital inflow. And in the short term, what I've been seeing for the past few months is just capital rotation from one ecosystem to another, right? There's not that much new money coming into the space, right? In terms of like sheer volume. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the DeFi bull market, right? And yeah, I kind of talked about this already, right? And not saying TVL goes to zero, right? I'm still going to use DeFi after incentive programs, but I'll probably be using it less, right? Just saying activity will slow down, which will be macro bearish, most DeFi ecosystems and applications. Okay, lots of bull hopium, lots of bear copium. Let's discuss a few other predictions I have, because I'm sure this video is getting way too long. Oh yeah, I think this is interesting. So I feel like, I mean, I'm also prone to this, right? But I feel like a lot of people use the Bitcoin dominance and the ETH BTC ratios as a way to like trade, right? And I'm sure some traders can use it at an advantage, right? And like they can like make a lot of money doing so. However, I feel like most people that will purely look at Bitcoin dominance and ETH BTC charts will underperform, right? And ETH BTC, that was a thing in 2017 because, I mean, those were like the two biggest communities, right? And they're always like fighting each other, like, oh, ETH is better, Bitcoin is better, you know? And also like Bitcoin was like the base pair for trading crypto back in 2017. But at this point, right, are we really comparing ETH and Bitcoin as like the similar assets, right? Sure, they're both cryptos, but I don't think they're comparable assets. It's like, you know, going into the stock market and using like the Tesla Walmart chart, right? It's like, oh, like the Tesla to Walmart ratio is at, you know, whatever, like 2.0. So this has historically been a good time to sell your Tesla to buy Walmart. Like it doesn't really make any sense. And I think over time people will catch up to this. But you know, I mean, if you can make money trading these things, then go for it, right? Who cares? I think crypto gaming, right? I think crypto gaming, with the whole like metaverse narrative and stuff, it's going to continue to be hyped up. And I think it's going to be continue to be overvalued. If you look at like the top 5 games in crypto, it's going to be like what DeFi Kingdoms, Axie, Sandbox, Decentraland, Illuvium, right? Axie and DeFi Kingdoms has users. Illuvium, Sandbox, Decentraland, they don't have users, right? But I think they're like top 50 or something. It's pretty crazy. If these projects can command these valuations with like essentially 0 users, I think that at some point the gaming sector is going to enter a huge bubble, right? Where it's going to be based on hype. It's going to be based on like VC investment. Oh, like SoftBank's getting into this. Oh, like that firm is getting into this. And it's going to be like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's going to be like this token's going to be crazy hyped up. But it's going to be based on purely hype and speculation, right? It's really, really hard to value these things. You can argue that you can kind of value Axie or DeFi Kingdoms because, you know, like they're actually users and people actually play that game. But, you know, I think gaming projects will continue to be overvalued. Like I own a bunch of Jewel, right? That's been my baby, right? But you know, you can easily make an argument why Jewel is overvalued, right? But it doesn't matter because other games are way more overvalued, right? Like if like Decentraland is overvalued at like a scale of 1 to 10 at like a 9, maybe DeFi Kingdoms is at like a 4, right? So DeFi Kingdoms can continue to be overvalued because the entire sector is going to continue to be a bubble until it deflates at some point. Lastly, I'm bearish DAOs. You know, I mean, I know like people love DAOs, right? It's like the idea of a decentralized autonomous organization. But to be honest, as a person that likes money, I'd rather bet on an amazing founder and bet on him to execute, right, as an operator and as a leader, than to bet on like thousands of token holders who only cares about like number going up, right, and like pump our bags, right? Like, you know, because I feel like at this point DAOs, right, like if we're like really like focused on like a governance token system, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, like people are only gonna vote for things that's gonna make their tokens go up, right, in the short term. And sure, like maybe some community members care about the long term, but you know, it's kind of how it is, right? Pure governance tokens, bearish. You know, governance tokens that accrue some value, right, in forms of like staking and whatnot, maybe, right? But pure governance tokens, I just don't like them, right? I just think they're gonna continue to underperform. It's gonna be a way for the members and the investors and the team to just like, you know, slowly take profits, right? Okay, that being said, summary: short-term bullish farmers and open-minded traders and their ability to make a lot of money, right? Short-term and long-term bullish DeFi, medium-term meh, need better innovation. Maybe it comes, maybe in the next 6 months, a bunch of innovation comes and it creates like the infrastructure for more people to onboard. But, you know, what I'm most worried about when it comes to DeFi is what happens when the incentives run out, okay? And what happens when the hype for the incentives run out, right? I think user activity will slow And I think, you know, that might be like a slow grind down for ETH, or sorry, not ETH, but like, you know, just like DeFi TVL over time, right? And maybe, you know, DeFi TVL keeps going up because like people like bridge stablecoins, right? And like people farm in stablecoins. But, you know, that's not really like a best way to measure like, you know, how great an ecosystem is thriving, right? Like you need more applications, you need more volatile, I guess like innovators coming into the space. And, you know, like I don't really see that right now, right? There's like a few innovators, but other than that, like, you know, I don't really see too much things happening. And maybe I'm just ignorant to like what's happening in the back end, and I'm sure I'm ignorant, right? Because like we're ignorant to the things we don't see, and I'm sure a bunch of geniuses are working on like a bunch of great things. But from what I see right now, I think the bear market will happen for DeFi when the hype and the incentives run out. Bullish near. I also think other L1s with users with cheap fees will do extremely well, right? Like Solana, Luna, AVAX, right? I think they'll do okay, right? I think they pumped a lot, right? I think 2021 was the year for those assets, so maybe they'll underperform relative to the other ones. Maybe this year is gonna be like Near, Phantom, Atom, stuff like that, right? Harmony, stuff like that. You know, there's like it's really hard to know. I'm betting on Near just because I actually see catalysts coming, right? And it's easier to bet on catalysts than to bet on the ecosystem because it's cheap, and hoping that people buy into it. Lastly, never mirror coin. 99% of crypto tokens are inflationary. We often talk about Bitcoin being the hardest money, but even Bitcoin is inflationary, right? There's like new Bitcoin being mined every single day. Don't marry a coin. Don't marry a particular ecosystem. If you want to be a community member, right, and contribute, then yeah, go for it, right? But if you want to be a profit maxi, it doesn't pay to just stick to one ecosystem. Coins can go down and market cap can go up. So I often talk about QuickSwap, back to my Polygon days. So this is a chart of QuickSwap, right? It's a farm token, right? It just goes down. But I mean, this is the price. But if you look at the market cap, it looks like this, right? So even when price is down like 50%, right, from May to like August, right? When August, like the price was like $750, the market cap was much higher, right? Just because it's super inflationary, right? Always keep this in mind. Almost everything in crypto is inflationary, and it's going to be really hard for you to succeed in crypto if all you're doing is like betting on one project and like, you know, betting on like an inflationary project and just like bag holding it. You know, because price is a factor of supply and demand. And if supply keeps going up, there needs to be more demand to capture, like, you know, to, I guess, to absorb the supply increase. Always keep that in mind. Okay. So that's the end of the video. Hope everyone liked it. Yeah, so I will be making an announcement. So I do have a private Discord, right? I don't run ads and stuff, but I do have a private Discord. I will be raising the price for the private Discord on Sunday, right? So how it's gonna go? I think it's gonna be I'll be raising it to like $100 per month. For existing subscribers, the price is not gonna change, right? So if you're at the $70 level, right? As long as you subscribed, it's not gonna go up. Okay. And for anyone that like subscribes in like the next like 5 days, you know, you get to lock in that lower rate. But starting Sunday, right, or I guess Monday, because you know you get to sign up until Sunday. Starting Monday, price is gonna go up to $100 a month, and yeah, if you unsubscribe and then resubscribe, you're gonna have to pay that higher rate. Okay, so you know, the growth on my Discord has been incredible, right? We have over 1,000 members, you know, and I think I add a lot of value, right? I make 2 videos a week. They often range from 40 to 60 minutes. I post every day. I'm active, and there's a lot of gigabrains in the Discord to learn from. So, you know, just making an announcement. I don't really talk about the Discord recently, but you know, just announcing this, just for the sake of it. So thank you guys for watching, and have fun farming out there.